So let's start. I want to open this space with moderate grace because I'm feeling very activatedly mystical. That's what I'm saying. So I am clear that we have stepped on into clarity. Yes. And we're walking in our power. We're dancing magic in our lives every day and every hour. We're choosing to be using the gifts we've got to make this world so fine. We are each unique expressions of the great divine. Okay, I'm not going to try to be all skillful in my tech presentation. I'm just going to get serious about talking story. So, a little over a week ago, I put myself in the hands of the conventional medical model, which I not only um, abhor, I think that's the word I have to use these days, which I abhor due to personal moral injury, due to feeling like the whole model was already a dinosaur when I was leaving it in the early aughts, and that now it has become so corrupt. It's heartbreaking. So I went and put myself, and I say this only half jokingly, I put myself in the belly of the beast so the beast could be in my belly. And that was for this repair of a ruptured hernia. Now, several magical, mystical things happened. I'm not going to list them here because I don't feel like it. But I do want to say that I left that operating theater and went home and had 2 or 3 days of detox, both of the anesthesia that was in my body and also a whole bunch of emotions that really left me cleansed in a way that was very, very much like ayahuasca ceremony and ritual. Soy ayahuasquera norteamericana. What can I say? And you either get that or you don't. But what's interesting in my world, that means that having gone into those mystical spaces with plant medicine 2 separate times in a pretty intense way, I don't ever need to go there because the plant is with me and I am with the plant. That is a really wonderful piece about understanding how we can relate. So I came out of surgery with my solar plexus all stitched back together again. And along the way, I had more than a tiff of a problem with a man who I deeply love, have always been fascinated by, but things have happened since November of 2025 to now that led me to fall. Yeah, I did fall in love with this man in a very particular moment. And when I say that, that's because I am a very vigilant human and I map my feelings and my life experiences. So when I say fall in love, it means a certain set of feelings that I've had exactly 3 times in my life with 3 separate male people. There was one woman out there that I is a totally unique experience, so I'm not even going to try to. It was ineffable. We're not talking about that. Let's just stay kind of heteronormative for now, just for the sake of the story, moving forward slowly. Okay. In these 3 times with these 3 different people, this last person, there was a very specific moment when we were having some very specific, playful, sensual, and by that I mean I wasn't working towards any sexual arousal, and neither was he, by design and by agreement. Yet we were in a hotel room together. and we were planning to be sleeping in the same bed together that night. And that is something neither one of us had done in 8 years. So that was the plan. And I would say our plan was more than successful, way more than successful. But along the way, I had that feeling that I have, that feeling with the third person of what it means to fall in love. Biologically, something happened that meant that I'm going to be thinking about this person a lot. Obsessively is what many people go to. I've got a little more resistance to it, or I don't even know. It's not like Spock and Amok time. It's not as bad as all that. But I do recognize that my personality type is an Enneagram 8 and a bossy person, and I like control. But I am willing to let go of control. And that is a big thing that I want to appreciate about myself. Yeah, see, I got the reflection of the phone, so it gets tricky here, but and we're going to keep going at least for a while. I may move around again. Let me try one more place. How are people liking this light? That's kind of nice, isn't it? I like this. Okay, I like this light. Oh, I'm so sorry because if your connection is bad, my connection is awesome. I got 5 bars for the first time. This will be available as a YouTube piece, uncut, next week whenever I get it out there. Yeah, so it's all good. And welcome, Cheryl. Life is so fun at this particular moment. I'm talking about the emotional work play of falling in love with a human at this particular moment in time who I've known for since 2010. And what's wrong with this picture is they're very hurt. Their feelings are very hurt because they've been in love with me since 2010. I mean, they're telling me this whole story about all of that. And what I have learned that I'm going to flash to before we get any further is that with this great adventure, I found not only a knitting of my solar plexus, but I found some really important sovereignty issues for me on what I need and what I want. And I want to remind us in an age where a whole bunch of my community are off doing Robin Hood stories in the woods, that before Robin Hood was King Arthur, and King Arthur had the Knights of the Round Table, and the Knights of the Round Table had Sir Gawain, Gawain, and as he went off searching for the what is it he's searching for? I don't know, but this is the divine feminine in all of my Gnostic mystical. What they're really looking for, the church has lost the connection to the divine feminine. Duh. Okay, so Gawain goes off, and somehow Gawain gets he's off in this woods and there's this witchy woman and oh everybody I know what it is, everybody's going to look for the answer to the question, what do women want? I don't know why that was one of the things they had to do. Okay, so they're to answer the question, what do women want? He goes, old haggy lady, she says, I'll tell you, but you got to marry me. And he marries her because he's an honorable guy. Then she tells him what the answer is, which is sovereignty. Women want the choice, to have choice, to have free will. Duh. Okay. I have to stop doing the duh part, but it's one of those days because we're going to wind up with some problem areas, particularly problematic in the European colonized mind of the white woman. Getting ahead of the story. What did women want? Sovereignty. What did Sir Gawain do? He was a noble man. He took this witchy woman and he made, she's real ugly, and made her his wife. And when he got into the holy bedroom or whatever they call it when you have your first sexual night after you're married, she's a beautiful princess, right? And he goes, "Oh, what happened?" She goes, "I'm under a spell, and I'm sorry, but I can only be. You can have one thing or the other. You can have me beautiful at nighttime just for you, or you're going to have me beautiful in the daytime so you can show me off like a trophy wife to all your guys, but you can't have me both ways, right? So what does Sir Gawain, the noble guy, do? He says, women want sovereignty. You choose. What do you want? And of course, that breaks the spell. You get it? We just want to be able to choose things for ourselves. All right. So back to the issues at hand, which for me were really checking in about where I am with respect to relationships. And I am so entranced by India Ari's I Am Ready for Love. Because there's a way that I listen to it, and it's not about a one on one love for me. It's about opening to agape love with an erotic edge. So, as I said, I'm an activated mystic these days. It means I'm sourcing from a whole generation of younger, beautiful women, more melanated women of all the colors, the PGM. Only a few white, though. You white girls, I just got to call out gently where you are. But in the world of Lizzie Jeff, in the world of India Ari, who's older, right? I just see my Stellas. They didn't have to get their groove back the way my generation did with Angela Bassett. They didn't lose it in the first place. I'm so happy with you and proud of you. And I see the attack by a patriarchy. This is where it gets ugly really fast. It wants to really annihilate you. That's not in your head. That's not in your womb, WOMB. It's not in your boobs, all right? And when you have to go in and have screenings with those technologies, be full of care because they're not always about making you more aware of your body. They're often about scaring you, not on purpose, but it'll get more tests if you have a shadow in response to the mammogram, and then they have to get 5 extra studies. It's about money in the system right now. And I hope everybody who's born with a womb sees that. And I hope those of you who are here as allies, as we all look for more connection to the divine feminine, as it is rising up all around us, and there's a whole bunch of people who are in deep, deep resistance. You are here with Opeyemi's Avengers. And I say that the best revenge is to live well. So I am a woman with a plan. My Panama move is afoot. My ticket is purchased. I need money, honey, to feel safe on a safety net, but also to make sure I have a little bit of a nest egg. I am suspicious of, but not resigned to, the fact that the international system seems to run very much like uh, USA, that you have to have certain credentials and privilege to get a bank account. And you waste a lot of your money every paycheck going to the check cashing store on the corner. Well, as I go to Panama, unless I have the credentials that get me the equivalent of the bank account, I will have to spend a lot of money. In Panama, it's going to be $7 each time I pull money out of an ATM, and that's all I'll be able to do for a little while. So that's my background on where I am on my money end of things. You see me massaging my jaw here. I have holes in my mouth from too much grinding of my teeth, so I get very real. As soon as I feel that starting to happen, I loosen up my jaw. I do physical touch and massage to the area. I don't care what I look like for people right now. I'm not losing any more teeth than I have to, because that's another thing. If you're over 65, Medicare is not going to cover for any of your dental. So be aware before you get there. All right, back to relationships, love, falling. What I am doing with India Ari. I have a very expansive and beautiful vision right now that as I get to Panama, I pledge to my communities I will have a 2 bedroom, which means it will be fairly easy for people to call me up and for me to say, come on a week's notice, come on 3 days' notice. It's going to get more and more financially expensive, likely. There's going to be more and more people leaving the untying states of America, noticing that they may not have the privilege and the power to come back. I'm one of those. I want you to understand that I have lots of historical knowledge of people who had to be very careful when they went away and when and how they tried to come back on what happened next, particularly big political names. I'm not a big political name. I'm a little healing artist and an artist healing with a big mouth and a whole bunch of sassiness and a feeling that my next phase is going to have a whole bunch of enjoyment to it and some challenge. So every time I come on in my live stream into the future, I'm going to have a serious story about what I have done as I am heading on out of here. So, what I have done for this particular community where I live in Montpelier is I have seeded, SEEDED, and offered blessings to a community of people who are trying to build intentional family, because that's what we need nowadays. We need people who look out for each other in more than just because they happen to, I don't know. I don't even know what the criteria are. We are so estranged that there's not a lot of ways we look out for each other. So, in my community, there is a big, huge, beautiful house being renovated that is on 3 acres at the top of the hill with a whole bunch of story behind it. I don't even know whose house that was originally, but it was clearly some lord of the manor in early settler times for uh, Montpelier, the state capital where I am. And they are now scheming and dreaming to live together. There's actually a turtle dove in front of me right now, not a pigeon, a turtle dove. I wish I could flip the camera just so you can see. Life is beautiful sometimes. Okay. They are sitting in council and in thoughtful connection on how they can build community together. That's too close, squirrel. Come on. Go. No, no, no. Go away. I got a squirrel that is like less than 1 foot away from me. I think I can actually flip the camera. You see this little guy? Yeah, where are you trying to go? Anyway, this is my downtown. That's my squirrel that likes to come close. And then I'll just leave on the camera for a minute or two because it's just really like it's like I'm on its property or something. All right, let's turn the camera back around and see if we can bring this in. I'm a nature girl. I'm a nature girl big time. I'm a nature girl who is affiliated with a Black and Indigenous and people of color farm. We say garden, but it's a farm. We're growing greens for people. We got tomatoes in the ground. I got squash and corn and yeah. This. Why do you think you need to be over here? I'm sorry, I cannot be in competition with a squirrel. I'm giving up and letting the squirrel have my bench. I don't know why the squirrel wants my bench so badly. Let's see what it does once I leave. It comes over, it's underneath the bench, and it's just sniffing things out. Okay, so back to the point at hand. There's good community trying to be built here, and I had to say out loud what I noticed, which is on the welcoming of this beautiful place, there's a small LGBTQ sign. There is a small One Earth sign, the beautiful picture of the Earth from outer space. And there's no Black Lives Matter sign. And the truth is that that's kind of how this community has been performative at best, absent-minded at worst. So even performative would have been better than none, but performative around the Black Lives Matter sign for me is always you do know that what I'll be looking for is a place where I can run and knock on somebody's door if I need help. And that to test it, when I used to walk long distances in my rural areas and I'd see these Black Lives Matter signs in the middle of nowhere where there weren't any black people, right? I wondered what it would be like if I went up to the door and knocked on the door and said, "Could I have a drink of water?" Because that hits like two very Yankee issues at once. One is a lack of native hospitality. There's like something that got extinguished there, that instead of "Hi, who are you?" it's "Halt, who goes there?" is the first response. I'm not sure where that came from, but it's deep. So, in order to get around that, I also ask for water, because the other thing is, will you let a black person drink out of a water fountain before or after you? Ha ha ha. Will you let a black person get in the water in the pool where you go? So, that is all of what I hope to leave behind and move to a place with more chocolates y negras personas than here. Um, yeah, because I'm not going to be in like the Miami Beach part of Panama City. I hope to be in a quieter, gentler place, possibly a city that is like as small as where I am right now, outside of the third largest city, which is called David, where I am going. And back to any issues at hand, women's health. I was so hurt to see this beautiful, youngish, like 40 something Asian American saying, "How could we have looked at this, listened to this schlock that's called Flowers in the Attic?" Okay. And I had some issues with recognizing that that represents a whole way that particularly the minimally melanated people assigned female at birth got indoctrinated, enculturated, brainwashed around really sick and twisted, scary stories about mother child dynamics. And I didn't watch ever, ever, ever one of these, but other women read book after book, and it was that kind of weird. Some people, we get really sucked into things that are bad for us, and we don't kind of can't find our way out. So in that world, to know what the psyche was of the woman VC Andrews, who started writing those books, she was herself um, treated by conventional medicine for a back problem, and they screwed it up and they made it worse. And not only did they make it worse, but it became a chronic pain problem for her for the rest of her natural life. She spent a lot of time in braces and in bed, and she had an enmeshed relationship with her own mother. Okay, so mother daughter issues. Can I just say, can we have the minimally melanated crowd pay attention to your stories, because they are more than a little bit gory? And right now they're getting the rest of the world into a lot of trouble because you're not voting, you're not supporting your own best interests, to the point of it being really scary to watch that much self-destructive behavior. That's what I'm seeing. So I say that in not a shake your finger judgy way, and not even a fascinated way. I'm saying it, and it's breaking my heart now as I call you all in gently to say, this deserves better of you. This meaning your country falling apart in front of you, your bodies being taken away from your control, your knowledge of your body so sorely deficient that you are being manipulated into all kinds of drug and pharmaceutical solutions, uh, microsurgical solutions, plastic surgical solutions, hormonal treatments, injections, and I'm going to add, sadly, chemotherapeutic solutions for cancer issues that probably deserve a whole lot more care as we make discerning choices about our quality of life as our lives are going to end. And that is where you look at the 5-year survival rates for our cancer stories. I intend to be in a place where I will eventually, not ideally in the next year or two, eventually die. So I am going to encourage all of us over 50 to start thinking about your death plans. And I said over 50 only because we don't think about it at all. And 50 feels like a reasonable age to say, well, maybe I'm halfway through my life. Not a lot of people live over 100, right? And maybe I ought to think about what is going to be left for me. All righty. I believe that that is all I want to be saying right now. I am going to, every time I do this, as I said, talk about what I did in community that I am happy and proud of. I'm very happy and proud that I helped mamas have their babies in hospital settings where it was way more that we were catching this baby together. That's what a midwife calls it, is catching the baby, not delivering the baby. We were catching this baby together and making sure that she had as much contact with her newborn as possible and got her out of that hospital setting as soon as possible. And I did that a lot. And it's what I think I am the most proud of in my hospital days. That's me. And we'll end it a little early. Have a good evening, everyone.